I can do what I want when I want to do it. I can do what I need when I need to get through it. When I need someone else, can't be too proud for help, but gotta look after myself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what the day is. But it's exactly what you make it. So please don't go wasting. And I'll do the same, even if it's raining. How could I complain? And my feels got me some type of way. You always free to take a break. Hope you feel what I felt. You gotta look after yourself. Sometimes it can get lonely, never living in the moment. When the sun is shining, hope that I'm reminded, like how the clouds keep changing. I'm always steady rearranging, going back to the basics of what a good day is. Of what a good day is. What a good day is. And that's exactly what today is.
All right, y'all, we are in the building on this Monday morning. How are y'all doing? We are back at it. Hopefully you all are doing well. You know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. Ow, man. We up in here looking all crispy and clean on the screen. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to the ClassE Morning Show and another YouTube live stream. I'm your host, ClassE of ClassEbeats.com, patreon.com/ClassEbeats, by the way. And we've got an amazing show for y'all. I'm looking forward to getting into it. We got a really sad story, and it gets absolutely wild story about young Scooter. We're gonna get into some Karen Reed today. We got some more news and updates on Tony Busby and something that's a little bit off topic from what we usually cover, but this is going to be a story about some influencers who got into a lawsuit as well. So we got a lot of great stories coming up and interesting news for y'all today. Thank you to everybody who's in here. But before we get into it, I gotta say what's up to the people, man. Shout out to everybody who's in the building. Of course, we've got my awesome, amazing Amy is up in here bright and early with the new profile pic. I see you over there, Amy. We've got Les Cleaver in the building. My guy, A-Fits. Michi is in here. Brown Sugar Babe. We got Trisha in the building. Kara Hampton's up in here as well. Good to see y'all. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Libby22 SC Girl is in the building. Slim Life New Jersey's up in here. The Honorable Attorney Kel Bell is in the building as well. Good to see you, Kel Bell. We've got Taco Tuesday up in here a day early. Good to see you. And I know I missed a couple of y'all, but shout out to everybody who's in the building. If y'all could, I don't ask for much on this show. If you could, please make sure that you like the video on your way in. Not only is it free, not only does it take less than a second, it's super easy to do. Please make sure you like the video on your way in. It's free, and it does let the YouTube algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show, and it shares the video and the channel out with more people. All right, so thank you to everyone who's already done that. I gotta sneeze. Oh my goodness. Drop a 1 in the chat if you are in the South or dealing with this pollen that's going on. Oh my goodness. Everything's yellow here in the beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. Oh my gosh. It's been one of those days. Now, thankfully, I personally haven't been dealing with it too much, but obviously, famous last words. Y'all heard the sneeze. Hopefully y'all didn't hear that sneeze, but if you did, I apologize. Y'all take it easy. Take some Allegra if you need to. Blow your nose and try and hold it down. Man, y'all said I'm in Texas and I'm about to die. Oh, man. It's tough out here. It's tough out here. Good morning to everybody else who's stopping by the building, too. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into the show. But before I do, I have to read a couple of these super chats in the building. Shout out to, we've got Michi up in here on this Monday morning with the 2 bombs. She says, happy Monday, all. Have a great week and free Yak Gotti. Free Yak Gotti, man. We should be hearing some updates from Yak Gotti soon. I know Yak Gotti does have a plea hearing coming up here soon. I've got it on the calendar, and y'all know when it happens, we'll be covering that here on the channel as well. So stay on the lookout for that, and hopefully they get this man out of there because he's been found not guilty on all counts over 4 months ago. Still sitting in jail. It's disgusting how this system works. Thank you for reminding us to send our prayers out to Yak Gotti. Also, Kara is in here too. Shout out to Kara Hampton with the 2 bombs. She said it's Monday, y'all. Everybody get up. Appreciate you, Kara. And then we've got Gemini Rising is back in the building as well with the 5 bomb and the super sticker. Thank you so much, Gemini Rising. I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show too. So thank you to everybody who supports and sends in super chats. I appreciate it. Kara said this pollen is disrespectful. The pollen is not taking any prisoners. Thank God it rained here a little bit over the weekend because, man, it was struggling. And RIP to everybody who has a white car. It is this time of year that you're reminded that buying a white or black car probably might not have been the best idea if you're living in the South. Either way, that's enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and get into the content. So I mentioned that we were going to be talking about Young Scooter this morning, and this whole entire story is insane. So the news broke over this weekend that something went down with Young Scooter. Everyone was trying to find out what was going on, what was happening to him. Many of you may know he actually showed up in the courtroom during the Young Thug trial to show love and support to Young Thug. This Atlanta-based rapper has some really successful songs. Unfortunately, his 39th birthday was this weekend, and he passed on his 39th birthday. And the circumstances, if you don't know about it, are absolutely insane. There might be more to this than meets the eye. I'm going to let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat, and we're going to listen to what happened here.
Good evening, and thanks for being with us tonight. I'm Jennifer Bellamy. We are following breaking news right now in the city of Atlanta, where just minutes ago, Atlanta police held a news conference about the death of a 39-year-old man, Kenneth Bailey, also known as rapper Young Scooter. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live for us tonight right outside of Atlanta Police Headquarters. Cody, you just stepped out of that briefing from police. A lot going on tonight. What have you learned?
Well, Jennifer, the main thing we want to set straight here, the lieutenant over homicide with Atlanta police saying they did not, in fact, shoot Young Scooter. They say there were no shots fired during this ordeal tonight on William Nye
This is where
Drive.
it gets crazy.
We have a live look at that scene right now. What Atlanta police say did happen this evening is that they were responding to a call from a home there on William Nye Drive involving a disturbance with weapons. As officers got on scene, they got reports that there was a woman involved in this, possibly shots fired, and that she was taken back into the home. However, at this hour, they cannot find that woman. What they did find in the home were 2 male suspects. One of those males returned from the home after running away. That second suspect never returned, and we're told as he was making his way from that home, he actually jumped 2 fences. It was during one of those jumps he landed and somehow broke a leg. Some were hearing initial reports it was a femur. Again, we don't know the details of exactly the injuries, but tonight the medical examiner says a cause and manner of death have not been confirmed. But again, this is now confirmed to be Bailey, a based rapper here in Atlanta known as Young Scooter. While there are reports coming in from across the country tonight that Atlanta police shot this rapper, they say that is in fact not true. And the GB.
And again, this is why we wait for the actual news to be reported. Like, especially when it's someone's life and someone passing, people are so quick to pass judgment. Y'all know how this goes. Anytime the police are involved and there's a black man involved, everyone automatically assumes that it went down. Right? And that wasn't the case here. unfortunately. And when it comes to running for the police, y'all know how I feel about it. I've talked about it several times here. We talked about compliance. A lot of people don't want to hear it. When you think about not running from the police, this is not the situation you think is going to happen. You think worst case scenario. You don't think you're going to jump a fence and break your leg. It's the wildest thing, but we'll keep going with the story. So sad, man.
FBI has been requested to that scene that you're looking at, William Nye Drive, to give a third-party investigation. But again, to walk you through, there's a lot of confusion tonight with this story. APD responded to that home involving a weapons dispute. At some point, they got a report shots were fired, and again, a woman might have been taken in the home when officers got there. They did not find that. They say those two men ran from the home. One returned to that house. The other one, who was young Scooter, again, jumped 2 fences, and during that run over those fences, he fell, and what we heard originally was fractured or broke his femur. He was rushed to Grady, where he died there in the ER.
So he broke his femur.
Again,
That's
a lot
wild,
to still
man.
uncover on this situation, but Atlanta police wanted to make it very clear tonight. They are saying their officers did not fire a weapon, and that young Scooter died as he was fleeing from that scene on William Nye Drive. Of course, for his family, a heartbreaking situation and a very active investigation going on out there, not only with Atlanta police, but also with the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. They will do an independent investigation and release those findings in the coming weeks or months. But Jennifer, a busy night in Atlanta, and of course, this news hitting the industry, music industry, very hard as news is spreading across the country about young Scooter's death, reportedly on his 39th birthday.
All right, Cody Alcorn reporting for us tonight on certainly a complicated situation there. Cody, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I see a lot of y'all talking about this in the comments. And again, let me know what you think in the comments and in the chat about this. Is there more to this than meets the eye? We'll have to see what the circumstances were and what the evidence was around this situation, because this is just, again, not something you think is going to happen when you're running from the police. Is it probable? We're going to listen to a medical examiner here shortly and see what their take is on this.
A developing story now out of the Atlanta area. Several agencies now involved in the investigation into the death of an Atlanta rapper after police say he died while running from officers. Take a look here. This tweet from the New York Post highlighting all of that, saying, quote, rapper Young Scooter dead on his 39th birthday in a freak accident while fleeing Atlanta police. A lot going on here, so let's bring in Lindsay Tuman, joining us live at the headquarters for the Georgia Bureau of Investigation with the latest. Good morning, Lindsay. Obviously, a lot known and a lot still left to figure out here.
A lot of questions surrounding this case, and that's exactly why Atlanta police asked the Georgia Bureau of Investigation to step in and handle this investigation. They say this all started when that man was fleeing from police when they were trying to surround a home.
A large police presence filled the area around William Nye Drive in southeast Atlanta Friday night.
Officers responded to a dispute with a weapon. It was advised in the call remarks that shots were fired and a female was dragged back into the location.
When officers got on the scene, they say they knocked on the door. A man answered, then immediately shut the door on officers.
The officers then established a perimeter. During the process of establishing the perimeter, 2 males fled out of the rear of the house. 1 male returned back into the house. The other male jumped 2 fences as he was fleeing.
Investigators say when they look.
Are y'all buying it?
Stop the cap.
Let me know in the comments. Are y'all buying this? I don't know. They're saying 2 guys ran out of the building. One guy was like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. Young Scooter, on the other hand, he wasn't feeling it. He's like, no, it's my birthday. I'm out of here. I'm not trying to deal with this BS. And he was gone. And he broke his leg jumping the fence. We'll see.
Located the man, they found him injured.
There was no indication of anyone being shot. This appears that there was, when he fell,
there's no indication.
Fracture injuries to the leg, which caused the bleeding.
The 39-year-old was taken to Grady Memorial Hospital, where he later died. There have been a lot of questions over what happened on social media, which is part of the reason Atlanta police called in the GBI to investigate the incident.
And this is why we're here doing this press conference, to put out there that the Atlanta Police Department has not been involved in any shootings tonight, and the incident on William Nye, there was not a shooting at all.
So again, when we listen to police statements, I'm very critical of what the police say, because the police are very calculated on the words that they use. Keep in mind, he said what?
Right, and so what we have ultimately is that there is no evidence, none.
He said no evidence of a shooting. Why would he say that? Not once, but twice. Let's go back to this real quick and listen to what he's saying.
Doing this press conference to put out there that the Atlanta Police Department has not been involved in any shootings tonight, and the incident on William Nye, there was not a shooting at all.
Well,
so he said the Atlanta police were not involved in the shooting. Again, words mean things, especially when it's coming out of the mouth of a police officer.
At this time, the GBI does confirm that Atlanta police called them in to aid in this investigation, but there haven't been any other further updates at this time. Of course, a developing story that we're staying on top of over here. And that's the latest from Atlanta. I'm Lindsay Tuman. Back to you.
All right, Lindsay, thank you so much. And of course, we'll stay on the top of that story here and bring you updates. We appreciate you taking the time to join us.
All right, so now let's listen to the medical examiner and hear exactly what happened to young Scooter when he got to the hospital and how he passed.
Well, tonight the
on his
GBI
birthday
is labeling the death of Atlanta rapper Young Scooter as an in-custody death. His real name is Kenneth Edward Bailey.
Oh, so the story gets more interesting. It was an in-custody death. Don't let me find out they let this man bleed out.
Well, tonight the GBI is labeling the death of Atlanta rapper Young Scooter as an in-custody death. His real name is Kenneth Edward Bailey, originally from Walterboro, South Carolina, but making a name for himself in the music industry in Atlanta. Condolences from some of the biggest artists continue to pour in. Rapper Meek Mill posting on X, R.I.P. Young Scooter, an ATL generational leader that helped keep a lot of energy pumping out and into ATL. Prayers for your kids, family, and whole Free Bands family. As many continue to remember him, there are some questions still. How Young Scooter ended up dying after being pursued by Atlanta police last night. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live outside APD headquarters. And Cody, despite initial unconfirmed reports that spread like wildfire, APD says their officers never fired a shot.
That's what they say.
That's right, Angelina. Now, what I can tell you is the only injury mentioned by APD was to Young Scooter's leg. They say he fell after jumping over a couple of fences. Now, just hours ago, I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon to get some context to how a leg injury could possibly lead to death.
This is a medical examiner.
This was the scene on Friday
surgeon,
night
excuse
in
me.
the 200 block of William Nye Drive in the Lakewood neighborhood in southeast Atlanta. Police responding to a 911 call. APD Homicide Commander Lieutenant Andrew Smith.
Officers responded to a dispute with a weapon. It was advised in the call remarks that shots were fired and a female was dragged back into the location.
As officers tried to...
Okay, so again, the initial call was they heard shots, right? Somebody heard shots. They called. There's a female. They took her back inside. We don't know what happened to her.
Make contact with anyone in the home.
2 males fled out of the rear of the house.
APD says one of those men was Kenneth Bailey, better known as rapper Young Scooter. Lieutenant Smith says Bailey jumped 2 fences before officers caught up to him.
When officers located him on the other side of the fence, he appeared to have suffered an injury to his leg. There was no indication of anyone being shot. This appears that there was, when he fell, some type of fracture injury to the leg.
It's crazy.
Which caused the bleeding.
Possibly fracturing or breaking his femur, which orthopedic surgeon Dr. Craig Weil says isn't impossible.
Well, the femoral artery is quite large, and it could, if you broke your femur and it broke badly enough, the ends of the femur fracture could be sharp enough to cut the artery.
As for the fall,
it'd have to be a very hard fall.
Something you don't often see.
No, you don't. It's a relatively rare injury to have a femoral artery death. It's only about 10 to 15% of traumas, so it's not
10
very
to
high.
15%. but it happens apparently.
The Fulton County Medical Examiner says right now the cause and manner of death for young Scooter is listed as undetermined. Of course, an autopsy is planned if it's not already been conducted. Now, the GBI is investigating this in custody death, Angelina, and of course, the autopsy results will hinge a lot on how they rule this investigation. Live in downtown Atlanta, Cody Alcorn, 11 Alive News.
Yeah, so that's the story. Again, cause of death is undetermined. The medical examiner said, hey, I don't know. I'm waiting to hear from Patrick Labat on this one. I'm waiting to hear from, no, Fanny's not involved, but I'll bring her name up anyway. I'm waiting to hear from Fannie Willis. We're going to make sure we have the right determination here. Something isn't adding up. The more I listen to this, the more I think about it. Could it be something as simple of, yeah, it was just a freak accident on this man's birthday after someone reported that there were gunshots? Maybe. I'm just not a person who believes in coincidences, but maybe you guys do. Let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. I'm with most of y'all on this one. Something ain't adding up. But hey, crazier things have happened, right? Yep, that had to be the case. Grady is a top tier trauma center. Agreed. He was not treated in a timely manner. And I love how they kind of avoided the, what did they say? The quote unquote death in custody. Is that what they called it? I want to go back to the beginning and listen to this one more time.
Well, tonight the GBI is labeling the death
Just
of
the
Atlanta
beginning.
rapper Young Scooter as an
You would think
in-custody death. His
the
real
police don't
name
give
is
a
Kenneth
ish
Edward
about
Bailey,
when you're in custody.
Originally from Walterboro, South Carolina, but making a name for himself in the music industry in Atlanta. Condolences from some of the biggest artists continue to pour in. Rapper Meek Mill posting on X, R.I.P. Young Scooter. An
Anything
ATL
involving police, I always
leader
question.
that helped
But
keep
when it comes
a
to
lot of
arteries, it's very
energy
deadly and you bleed out
pumping
fast. I
and
agree.
into ATL. Prayers for your kids, family, and whole Free Band's family. As many continue to remember him, there are some questions still. How Young Scooter ended up dying after being pursued by Atlanta police last night. 11 Alive's Cody Alcorn is live outside APD headquarters. And Cody, despite initial unconfirmed reports that spread like wildfire, APD says their officers never fired a shot.
Custody and death. Yeah.
That's right, Angelina. Now, what I can tell you is the only injury mentioned by APD was to Young Scooter's leg. They say he fell after jumping over a couple of fences. Now, just hours ago, I spoke to an orthopedic surgeon to get some context to how a leg injury could possibly lead to death.
It's not that hard to understand. But yeah, they said custody and death. I read they put him in the squad car and then took him back out, and it took the ambulance 35 minutes to arrive. Yeah, if you're moving around on that leg, just your leg moving around, you could be nicking and cutting your artery depending on the severity of the break. So, boy, that's tough. So in custody death means he was locked up and died. They should have rushed him to the hospital. Well, I mean, you're going to get in handcuffs if you're running away from the police. Did they have to cuff him? I don't know. I mean, could they have seen that his leg was broken? Possibly. It's hard to tell, man. I always hate these stories, and he lost his life, it seems like, for no reason. So sad, man. He most likely bled internally. Yep. So did he have a gunshot wound? We don't know. It's undetermined. How did he fall? How do we know an officer didn't fall on him during the case? This is super sus. I mean, a lot of things could have happened. Think about it. He could have jumped the fence. His leg could have gotten caught. And then the way he fell, it could have snapped his femur that way. It's hard to do, though. I mean, your femur is strong. Is there body cam footage? That's a great question. Cuffed or not? Rush that man to the ER. These cops, man. Yeah. So he could have, if I had to think of what happened, if this is true, I don't think he just jumped and then landed and broke his femur. Because again, that would be hard to do. So maybe his full body weight, he was jumping over the fence. His leg got caught. The leg stopped. His body went and then snapped the femur. But it seems like you would get a hip injury before you would break your femur. I don't know. What else are y'all saying in here? Why involve the feds and GBI? I bet they don't release the body cam. He could have been pushed. Does the weight of the person matter? I know a fat guy that broke his femur. The weight distribution when it comes to your femur, yes, it does matter. Anything in this hip area down to here, like, oof. Yeah, you gotta be careful. But Scooter, he didn't look like he was overweight. I mean, he looked like he was in not great shape, but just a regular dude. And he's fairly young, 39. I mean, unless he had some type of deficiency, which is possible. I can't imagine him breaking his femur. So again, it must have been a freak thing. It's sad to see. Really sad to see. All right, we're going to go ahead and move into our next topic if y'all are ready. Again, thank you to everybody who's liked the video. We've got over 100% likes. As Amy always says, she's not going to have to beg anymore. Shout out to y'all for liking the video. Amazing. Over 100% of you have liked it. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. I say it all the time, every single live stream. Y'all do not know how much that helps the show continue to grow. So thank you for doing that. I won't ask again for the live stream. All right. So let's get into this one. Now, this is going to be very interesting. Let me see if I can make sure we get this right. Boom. All right. So some of you may know the gentleman who's up on the screen. He goes by the name D-Storm, and D-Storm is a content creator. Not only is he a content creator, but he's been making content for a long time. Originally started out on Vine, from what I remember, and then he continued to evolve and continue to grow his content and got involved in a lot of business ventures. Now we're finding out that he's actually going through a lawsuit against one of the business associates he had on the Zeus Network. So we're going to hear his story. He's going to lay out the whole thing, and then we're going to talk about the background of the Zeus Network and some of the other issues that they're facing here as well. All right, y'all check it out.
So I see Lemmy Plummer, or Lemon Pepper as y'all call him, is up on X spewing lies. But let me tell you something. Never trust tweets, only trust receipts. I'm about to break down for you the entire situation when it comes to Zeus ownership. I get a call from a good friend of mine, Lamorne Morris. Congrats on your Emmy, by the way, my brother. Lamorne tells me that he has a colleague named Lemmy Plummer who wants to meet with me about starting a social network. His pitch was he wanted to start a black Netflix for influencers and call it the Social Network, which was already a Facebook movie, by the way. He offered me a good amount of equity in the company and said he was going to look out for Lamorne for connecting us. He never looked out for Lamorne. Now, at the time, I had the biggest series on the internet called the Cart Series. Wait, baby, don't do that. No. At over 500 million views, it was nominated for an Emmy, 4 Streamies, winning 2. Then Lemmy asked me, are there any other influencers I could bring on as partners because we needed some heavy hitters in social media for this thing to work. I said, how about I reach out to another longtime friend of mine, King Batch. He had the numbers. Lemmy agreed. Batch agreed to join. Lemmy said we need one more partner, some diversity. So Batch reached out to Jake Paul, but Jake was working on another project and said, I'll at least give y'all an episode on round 1. Welcome to the Taj Mahal. Then Batch said, what about another good friend of ours, Amanda Cerny? She was getting millions of views, making millions of dollars off of brand deals. We all agreed. Now at this point, I broke down my equity so myself, Batch, and Amanda could have even equity across the board, and we all became co-founders.
This is back in 2017.
King Batch and Amanda Cerny, who were pretty big influencers.
Yes.
And we ended up, I brought them on board.
Lemmy was supposed to be behind the scenes as the CEO, and the 3 of us were to be the face of the network, myself as the president. In the coming weeks, we started a group chat, and the founders came up with a new name for the social network. Some of the names was trash. Then one day I thought, wait, Nike was a Greek god. They were successful with their shoe and apparel line. Why don't we name ourselves after a Greek god? Let's be Zeus. So then Amanda's like, I had a dog named Zeus. Shoot, I like it.
Daystorm actually came up with the name Zeus. We were strategizing and talking about different names.
So then became the Zeus Network. In our operating agreement, Lemmy's job was to put up the money for the first round of content, which he'd get back soon as we launched. Myself, Batch, and Amanda's job was to use our audience and our face and our likeness to blow up the company and give it a legitimate name. Lemmy's like, look guys, I'm a nobody, and you guys have the influence and celebrity to make this work. So that summer, we went hard as hell.
Zeus just came out today. You on this nigga, you gonna die. At what point did you hear me say Zeus, man?
When you looked at me and said,
I never heard of it. This is an amazing ad. All these guys in here, they've been doing great content for so long. That shout Shout out to the promotion. Amazing.
Subscribe. As president, my job was also to go out and find as many creators as possible so that we can have enough content to live on the platform when it launched. To drive the necessary traffic to the platform, the flagship shows would be Batch, Amanda, and I also agreed to put season 2 of Caught onto Zeus. Shit, I even called in a favor from Uncle Snoop to pop up in the series, and he looked out for me.
Snoop Dogg.
Strike one. You've been watching too much Zeus, nephew.
And then we spoke to 25 other creators who are also friends of ours and told them we'll give them a free series on Zeus if they promote the app. Let me promise all of them that they would get a percentage of the subscriptions. They didn't get a dime. So approaching the launch of Zeus, Libby calls me up crying, talking about the whole network about to go under because I ran out of money. I physically went into the office that entire summer and edited 4 series for Zeus. Then I put up $135,000 of my own money, paying for Bad Escorts, Caught Season 2, and 4 other creative series. Now, bear in mind, contractually, we weren't supposed to put up any money. But Lemmy said, I'm gonna pay you back as soon as Zeus launches and we're profitable. Now, every show on Zeus has music in the background, that happened? But keep in mind, we had no more budget for music. So I called in another favor from my good friend Tommy Brown and Franks, and I said, yo, we need beats for Zeus. They done produced everything from Ariana Grande to Justin Bieber. Tommy gave us over 1,000 beats with a promise from Lemmy that they'd get paid back once Zeus was profitable. They never got paid. We understood that Zeus couldn't just be successful in social media, and we needed a partner in traditional media. So I talked to my boy Fonz, and he links me with Tiffany, who works at SAG-AFTRA. Zeus ended up signing a historic deal as the first social platform to partner with SAG-AFTRA. And because of this partnership, I was also able to get a lot of the creators and actors their SAG card because they had shows and series on Zeus. And let me end up stabbing SAG-AFTRA in the back, by the way. This is why I say don't trust tweets. Only trust receipts. Let's keep it going. Now, since Zeus was a new platform and app, it was a lot of bugs that needed fixing. Now, our original tech partner, Nick, warned Lemmy that there was going to be some bugs and problems on launch day. But Lemmy ain't listen for shit. With his Napoleon complex, him and Nick used to get into it. So we throw this big-ass launch party in LA. We had ice sculptures, DJs, red carpet, big screens. Amanda bit the bullet and did this big-ass deal with Diageo for half her rate so we could have Ciroc as a sponsor. We was in it.
It came together. We're doing our pre-launch party, so coming out July 13th, I'm super stoked.
On launch day, all the creators who had a show on the platform promoted the hell out of Zeus. And over 45,000 people joined the platform.
I remember hearing about it.
So now we on Easy Street. Until the next day we get a call from our tech partner, Nick, who said there was a glitch in the system and everybody got into Zeus for free. We had to boot everybody out of Zeus and ask them to rejoin for the subscription price. And if you know anything about people, they ain't paying for shit after they got it for free. So the first round of Zeus was a wash. We had to scramble and come up with a plan for round 2 with no money. Then King Batch comes in clutch and saves the day and brings in our 5th partner, a silent investor named Ben Koo, who put up the funds we needed for round 2. On round 2, we changed up the plan and we used the funds from Ben Koo to make longer form content.
And again, this is after this dude didn't pay people. So they kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going, which is wild to me. I don't know why with all these mishaps they would keep going. Maybe it's because D-Storm had already had 6 figures invested in it, I'm sure. Jeez.
Amanda secured Lil Tay, who was huge at the time. Bat secured B. Simone, who was huge at the time. I secured Quay, who was huge at the time. And Lemmy secured Michael Blackson. Those shows with TT being the flagship gave us enough subscribers and enough income to make it to the next season for even bigger shows. Now Lemmy controlled all the money at Zeus. And at this point, myself, Batch, and Amanda were pushed out while Lemmy's taking these interviews acting like he did it all by himself.
But you did have partners. She did have partners. What happened to them niggas?
You tell me.
Man, I'll Google this shit. Stop it, man.
Sounds like
I remember seeing them.
You tell me.
So you bought them out, right?
You tell me what happened to these guys.
No, King Bach. Yeah. So King Bach, Amanda Cerny. That's what I was like. That's when they were lit.
Yeah, like I said, I created Zeus. I ended up investing my own capital. They didn't put in any money. They didn't do anything.
He seized all his Zeus accounts, got himself all this heavy security, and started spewing lies.
I thought they
that doesn't even sound right.
Bring some money to the table and do their thing, and they did.
Let me tell you something. Anybody who needs that kind of security is either super famous or did a lot of people dirty.
Part of what makes this whole platform special is, yes, you guys are partners and owners with me in this. And what you bring to the table, like you said, is relationships. People would not do this if it wasn't because of you and King Batch and Amanda.
Now, when you have a successful company like Zeus, you do something called partner payouts. Lemmy pays himself, but never pays his partners. To be totally transparent, we had a falling out because a good friend of ours, who is now a successful Latin artist and used to be Lemmy's assistant, told us that he sexually assaulted her. Till this day, myself, Batch, and Amanda, we received K-1 tax documents stating that we make millions of dollars from the Zeus Network as partners. So we're paying taxes on money that we never received. So while Lemmy Plumber walks through Paris with 5 security guards and designer
I should laugh. That's crazy, though.
Just read this. New home, RVs.
Lemmy done bought me a truck. Yo, how do you invest? Again, I'm sure with content creation, things are different. How do you invest over 6 figures and leave the management of that up to one guy? And say, hey, just trust me. We're going to take care of it. I'm out of money, but we'll figure it out. Come on, man.
The Zeus Network bought you.
Zeus bought it. Cybertrucks,
That's
cars,
crazy.
jewelry, and he's giving out bags to everybody who walks through Zeus's door. The partners who initially kept the lights on and made Zeus what it is today received nothing. Don't let the internet and Lemon Pepper fool you. We put them on. This guy's a fraud. I had a call a few years back with Lemmy and a Jason Tobert, who's also works there and is too cowardly to say something because he was on the phone call. And Lemmy is like, you guys are fucking losers. I'm gonna drag this case until you all broke. Zeus is worth $1 billion. You can't beat the machine. You'll never beat Zeus.
Which is,
he's been dragging it. We spent over $1 million on lawyers already. Oh, they're not even part of the company. We have to sit up there and prove that he's on some bullshit. So we'll spend 3 months and a couple $100,000 just to prove that he
didn't get paid. Nobody got paid.
We've been literally fighting this dude in court for 2 years, y'all. I found out that Zeus has multiple lawsuits that Lemmy done settled behind.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the multiple lawsuits here in a second.
Backs. And when you hear all these women on TikTok or you hear Ray J going off and shit.
To all the women that's going through this with Lemmy and going through this with Zeus, like, we hear you and we're going to help you.
We're going to stay in this room for 3 to 4 hours until you do what I tell you to do.
I don't f with that.
Dang.
Why
not? Wait, you worked with him
He's
before?
like the Black Harvey Weinstein.
So while Lemmy flies on his private jets and throws out money to crowds off of a career full of lies, keep in mind that if he can do this to his partners, imagine what he would do to someone who is not. Anyway, y'all, this has been my TED Talk. I just wanted to explain to y'all the ownership of the Zeus Network, and you're looking at the fucking president.
So he's allegedly former president. I don't know what they got going on over here. But let me change this up real quick because I want to show y'all this article that was written by Yahoo Entertainment. And it goes into a little bit of the background of what's going on with Zeus Network and what actually went down and the other lawsuits that came up against them as well. Now, we saw the allegations in here. I'm not going to get into that one too much, but here's what is alleged that happened. The controversy came to light after D-Storm Power began dropping receipts on social media, unveiling documents and contracts that appeared to support his claims. In a damning post, he accused Plummer of freezing out the co-founders while pocketing the financial rewards of their collective work, mainly saying that they never got paid. One of the most shocking aspects of the allegation is that Botch, Cerny, Amanda Cerny, and Power were reportedly forced to pay taxes on millions of dollars they never actually received. Come on. According to the influencers, Zeus's financial records list them as having earned substantial sums. Money they say was instead funneled elsewhere. This isn't just about us getting cut out of a business we helped create, said one of the co-founders in a statement. We are being forced to pay for money that was stolen from us. All right, the lawyers weigh in. Is there potential for criminal charges? Legal experts say these claims, if proven, could lead to serious civil and potentially even civil criminal consequences. All right, and then there's been past legal troubles that we're going to get into here as well. A history of legal troubles at Zeus. This isn't the first time Zeus Network has been embroiled in legal disputes. The platform has faced multiple lawsuits and financial controversies over the years. First one, they had Omarion's $200,000 lawsuit in 2020. This was 3 years after everything started. The R&B singer accused Zeus of failing to share subscription revenue and breaching their contract regarding the Millennium Tour live concert. Nick Cannon. Some of y'all may have heard about this one last year. Nick Cannon versus Zeus. Viacom sued Zeus for allegedly ripping off Wild 'N Out with the show Bad vs. Wild. Krishan Rock payment dispute. Reality star Krishan Rock threatened legal action, claiming Zeus withheld payments for her role in Crazy in Love. Each case paints a picture of a company that has repeatedly found itself in legal hot water, raising concerns about its internal operations and business practices. So we're going to look to see what's going to happen next with this. I'm sure they're not going to let this lawsuit go, especially with the people who are involved. And now that everything's public and they've shown receipts. So y'all let me know what you think about this in the comments and in the chat. What's going to happen moving forward? And could they possibly get a big payday out of this, or will Zeus just disappear? And I see a lot of y'all in the comments too saying that you didn't even know this was a thing. That's tough. I had heard about it just because I follow some of these content creators, but it's not surprising y'all haven't heard of it because it was still on the rise. Good morning to everyone who's just stopping by too. Good to see y'all. FFS is up in here. We got Anthony Thomas says, I can't figure out where on the chessboard to put Ye. Oh God, we probably should have talked about Ye today. That man is crazy. So I'm correct. The Delulu Network. Yeah. I don't know how you put up that much money and you still don't know what's going on. I would be making phone calls day after day after day, wondering what's happening. Where's this money at? How are you managing it? This whole thing is a mess. But again, I think when you get to a certain level, a lot of things are done on a handshake. And people don't want the trouble of going through the hassle of doing certain paperwork. They feel like it's not a big deal. They're going to get it back anyway. And then they run into this type of situation. All right. It is time for, I don't know, this segment we're going to get into might actually be competing with our Fannie Willis segments for my favorite segments on the show. We got to talk about Tony Busby, y'all. So Tony Busby is back under the gun, and it's looking like, in my opinion, that Tony Busby is getting blackballed by the Southern District of New York. It is bad, man. And shout out to Megan Cuniff. We're going to look at a couple of documents that were posted by her over on X. Make sure y'all go follow her on X because she does a great job reporting on this and getting us access to these documents. So what does she say happened recently over this past weekend? A judge won't let a woman remain anonymous in another Tony Busby lawsuit against Diddy, taking L after L after L. The order notes Busby's declaration is subsequently identical to declarations filled out the same in other Doe versus Combe cases in this district involving different plaintiffs and facts. So basically he's copy and pasting. Let's see what the judge says. The Busby declaration supporting the plaintiff's motion states that the plaintiff has not spoken publicly about the incidents that underline the causes of action in her complaint in paragraph 7. But as defendants acknowledge, the declaration is neither sworn nor made under the penalty of perjury. The Busby declaration is not sworn or made under the penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States and is thus inadmissible. Come on, Tony. We hold that 28 USC 1746 requires that a certification of the truth of a matter be expressly made under penalty of perjury. The court also notes that the declaration is substantively identical to declarations filed on the same day. Oh, man. In other Doe versus Combs cases in this district involving different plaintiffs and facts, which raises serious questions about the declaration's reliability. Tony Busby's copy and pasting these things and just sending them out. Say, hey, did you know Diddy? You want to come get a lawsuit? Come and get one of these. What's your name again? Don't worry about it. Male, female. Okay, John Doe, got you. This one. We'll figure out the details later. You're female? Oh, you were at a barbecue with Diddy? Got you. Jane Doe. Boop. This is embarrassing, man, for someone who's supposed to be a true professional and one of the best. Either way, the judge is concerned here. What else does the judge say? In any case, The seventh factor still weighs in the plaintiff's favor, absent any evidence that plaintiff's identity has not been kept confidential. And this isn't the end, guys. This isn't the end. Megan also says another judge has rejected the anonymity for a Tony Busby client in a lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs. This is another L. What does the judge say? Oh my gosh, we've got John Cronin. There we go. John Cronin, the Honorable Judge John Cronin, says, this case is one of dozens filed in this district by plaintiffs who allege assault at the hands of Sean Combs, globally known by the stage name P. Diddy. Like many of the other plaintiffs, the plaintiff here commenced his action anonymously. Using the pseudonym John Doe, plaintiff filed his complaint on November 20th of 2024 and simultaneously moved for leave to proceed anonymously. On November 22nd, 2024, before any defendant had yet appeared, the court issued an order allowing the plaintiff to proceed as John Doe initially, on the condition that leave to appear anonymously shall, quote, end quote, remain efficient only until the latter of 30 days following the service of the complaint, or the court's ruling on a timely renewed motion to proceed anonymously. So gotta put in another motion there. The court added that if the plaintiff failed to file a renewed motion within 30 days of service of the complaint, it would order disclosure of his name. So no more hiding. Defendants, which include Combs and several of his businesses, now have been served with the complaint and have appeared. On January 13th of 2025, the plaintiff timely filed a renewed motion to appear anonymously. On March 4th, 2025, defendant opposed the motion for the following reasons. All right. Then what do we have here? The order says, accordingly, plaintiff's renewed motion to appear anonymously is denied. The plaintiff shall file an amended complaint with his true name by April 4th, 2024. So this man about to be exposed this week. If an amended complaint is not filed by that date, or if the deadline is not extended, the court will dismiss the complaint without prejudice. Oh my goodness. Tony Busby, what are you doing, man? The clerk of court is respectfully directed to close docket number 14. So they say if they don't show up or ask for an extension by April 4th, they're out of there. How embarrassing, man. And again, it says the vague representation, this is what the judge says, as to individuals other than the plaintiff is insufficient to establish a risk of physical harm to the plaintiff himself. Mainly, you don't have enough to make this go through. And then we've got another one in here. And this is where it starts to get interesting. So we talked about Tony Busby last week, and he had an interaction with local counsel, we'll call her, and that is the attorney Cruise. And what Judge Mary V was alleging is that the attorney Cruise, she allowed Tony Busby to use her credentials to file a lot of these claims that are just getting demolished left and right. Now, the attorney Cruise, she sent a letter back to the judge and say, hey, judge, that's not true. Yeah, maybe I didn't do my due diligence and find out if Tony Busby was admitted into the Southern District of New York, but I reviewed these claims myself. I saw that they were sound claims, and I went ahead and I'm the one that filed them. I didn't give Tony Busby access to my ECF, right? So now Judge Mary V actually responded and said she don't care. And that the attorney Cruise is actually looking at possible sanctions. We're going to get into it right here. Shout out to Megan Kuniff again. She says Judge V has set a sanctions hearing for the New York lawyer who filed Tony Busby's Southern District of New York lawsuits against Diddy and the one against Jay-Z. Ms. Cruise shall show cause why she should not be sanctioned for making false or misleading representation to this court. What do they say? Mary K.V., Judge Mary K.V., on March 21st, 2025, the court issued an order denying the motion of Tony Busby for admission to Pro Hoc Vice. In this case, ECF number 76. The plaintiff's local counsel, A. Cruise, filed a letter dated March 24th in response to the order. She said, Judge, I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know, Judge. Maybe I should have done a better job. And I should have asked Tony, hey, Tony, are you doing your job? Are you actually admitted to practice here? Are you admitted to handle these cases? No, she said, don't worry about it. We'll just take care of it. Shame. As the court pointed, and I want to read this quote from her too. Ms. Cruise represents that she reviewed all the documents in this case and filed them under her ECF because she approved them. So she said, it's on me, Judge. I did it, but I didn't know Tony Busby was filing these without being admitted. As the court pointed out in earlier order, however, Ms. Cruise filed on ECF Mr. Busby's Pro Hoc application, which included her own affidavit in which she attests, I am advised by Mr. Busby that he has never been censored, suspended, disbarred, or denied admission. That's in italicized, or readmission by any court. Ms. Cruise's simultaneously filed as a part of the same application the order of grievance committee of this court denying Mr. Busby's application for admission in the Southern District of New York. What? So this is the problem here. So basically, Attorney Cruise in an affidavit said, I'm advised by Mr. Busby that he has never been censored, suspended, disbarred, or denied admission. Then the judge is saying at the same time she filed, which Tony Busby was required to do, the order of grievance committee denying Mr. Busby. So it's like, what do you mean? You don't know that he hasn't been denied. You just filed, and this is embarrassing. You just filed the order of the grievance committee showing that Tony Busby was denied. So how could you not know he was denied? Anyway, as such, Ms. Cruise, who represents in her letter that she reviewed and approved all documents before filing them on the ECF, filed a document that directly contradicted her own affidavit. Oh man. Accordingly, it is hereby ordered that Ms. Cruise shall show cause why she should not be sanctioned for making false or misleading representations to the court. Again, this legal system moves slower than the music industry. Why does she need to show that, Judge? She messed up. Sanctioned. Why are you going to ask her why she shouldn't be sanctioned when she went and filed the affidavit and then filed the order by the grievance committee? It doesn't make it. Why are we giving all this leeway to these attorneys? It doesn't make sense. They should be held to the highest standard of the law, but apparently they're not. The parties shall appear for a hearing on this order to show cause on April 14th, 2025 at 11 a.m. All parties and their counsel are on notice that failure to comply with court orders, all applicable rules, and professional ethical obligations may, there's the word, result in sanctions. Signed by the Honorable Attorney, the Honorable Judge, Mary K.V. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments and in the chat. Not only is Tony Busby taking shots, but he's taking all these people down with him. And I'm just saying, this man's reputation is in the utmost garbage. And all of y'all out there defending Tony Busby, let me know, is this someone that right now, today, you would hire to defend you? I want to know what y'all think. Let me know in the comments and in the chat. Why are these lawyers? Why isn't our district attorney here in Fulton County held to the utmost standard? Why? I don't understand why the judge is saying, oh, well, if she just comes to me and she lets me know, like Tony Busby did, Your Honor, it was a lapse in judgment. We know that's what she's going to say. And y'all come back to this video when we see the result of this hearing on April 14th. Come back to this video Because I guarantee you, Miss Cruise is going to say, Judge, Your Honor, it was just a lapse in judgment. I got a lot going on. I didn't feel like I should be responsible for Tony Busby, although I have the charge to do my due diligence and make sure everything is filed accordingly. And yeah, I might have, well, we won't call it lying, Judge. We'll call it misrepresenting. I may have misrepresented the facts and said that I didn't know that Tony Busby was denied admission to the Southern District of New York. And then I filed a piece of paper showing the order from the grievance committee that says he was denied from the Southern District of New York. It happens, Your Honor. Please don't sanction me. Like, what is this BS, man? Come on. They should be held to a higher standard. But again, hey, y'all don't show up for court. Y'all lie on the stand. Then, you're going to get severe consequences. If you're an attorney, apparently that doesn't apply. Or I guess if you're Relly, right? If you're a state's witness, you can lie on the stand as much as you want to and nothing's going to happen. Wow. Misrepresenting. Yeah, that's what they said. I think also it might be because she's a young lawyer and early in her career. So the judge might be giving her a chance instead of just sanctioning her. But here's the thing though, Derek, she's had a chance because let's just say she's young, she's dumb, and well, she just got out of law school, right? Why wouldn't she tell the court or even the Southern District of New York, just, hey, y'all, you know what? I messed up. I'm just noticing that Tony Busby is going to have to file this grievance or this order from the grievance committee. And I was not intending to misrepresent the information. I'm just finding out about it and I just became aware of it. It was a lack of due diligence on my part. And then we'd be done, right? But nope. We're waiting, hoping nothing happens. And she knew about this. She was not blindsided by this. So unless she's just a really sucky lawyer and didn't know what an order from a grievance committee is saying that Tony Busby was denied, then we can't give her a pass. And she filed it herself. She said, I'm advised by Mr. Busby that he has never been denied admission. And then simultaneously filed as a part of the same application, the order of the grievance committee from this court denying Mr. Busby's application for admission to the Southern District of New York. So again, hey, shout out to all the paralegals out there. Y'all aren't getting paid enough. Because what did she just hand all this paperwork to her paralegal and say, hey, can you take care of this for me? Tony sent it over. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, get my standard affidavit, file it under my ECF, and let's keep it moving. Come on, man. Dang. No, I absolutely agree with you. I'm just thinking of a plausible reason. Yeah, Derek, I know you don't disagree. I'm just saying I'm not going to give her any grace. And I don't think Judge Mary should either. And I'm sorry, the Honorable Judge Mary Kay, to call you by your first name. I cannot pronounce that. Is it Viscal? I'm going to mess it up. And she's not very nice if you reach out to her either. Just saying, oh man, Mandy's out there. Shout out to Mandy doing some great work over there too. Mandy's trying to get in touch with her. And she was like, I'm not doing interviews. The day Diddy does his first interview, post all this. Just a question. Did Megan could have pay off 50 Cent? Yeah, 50 let it go. I would have liked to see the back and forth. I know I'm here for it. When ClassE said he's going to cover Karen Reed, I was ecstatic. Yeah, we're actually going to get into that next. So we're going to get into this emergency hearing that took place. Again, I've been following along with the Karen Reed. What do you say? You don't call it a saga, but the whole Karen Reed trial. And it's going to be an interesting case. From everything I've seen, it's going to be a wild one. So we'll go ahead and get into it here in a second. Again, thank you so much to the over 100% of y'all that like the video. Y'all really make this channel grow and continue to help us out. So thank you so much. Danny in real life is in the building. Good to see you this morning, Danny. Let me go ahead and change this picture and we'll get into Karen Reed. Now, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what is going on in this emergency hearing, so I'm going to see it for the first time with y'all. So hopefully it's something exciting, but I want to kind of get everybody ready and informed about what's going on with the Karen Reed trial, because officially, as of this week, the Karen Reed trial is going to start, and they're doing jury selection this week. So I wanted to do a little bit of rewind and go back and see this last emergency hearing that recently took place and find out what's actually going on in court, and maybe we can get a little bit of an update. If you're not familiar with the Karen Reed trial, do not worry. I gave you guys a very thorough update of what's going on, what you can look for in this trial coming up. We had some news and updates about some of the people who are going on to Karen Reed's side and joining her defense team as well. So if y'all haven't caught that, make sure you check the links in the description, and you can also check out our Karen Reed trial playlist, and that'll list out every content we've made on Karen Reed so far. All right, let's go ahead and get into it.
Judge, this is 22117 and 23313, Commonwealth versus Karen Reed, and separately the Commonwealth versus Aiden Kuhn. Can I have the parties identify themselves?
Mr. Clerk, hold on just a moment, please. Sure. I need to plug in because I believe we have parties on Zoom.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's also my understanding that we're only here on case 0117.
That was also my understanding.
Okay. And do you have the Zoom identification link for me, please?
I do. It's right here.
Thank you.
There's no passcode.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Clerk, you may call the case and identify the parties.
22117, the Commonwealth versus Karen Reed. Can I have counsel identify themselves, starting with the Commonwealth?
Good morning, Your Honor. Hank Brennan for the
We'll
Commonwealth.
get you guys right, don't worry.
Relative to docket 00117.
Good morning, Attorney Brennan.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm Robert Cosgrove. I'm the special prosecutor on the Aiden Kearney cases, and I suppose for purposes of this motion, I'm the respondent to the Rule 17 motion.
Good morning, Attorney Cosgrove.
Good morning.
Hello, Your Honor. Timothy Bradel for Aiden Kearney. I see him on the Zoom for the record.
Good morning, Attorney Bradel. Good morning, Mr. Kearney.
And Mark Federer for Mr. Kearney. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Attorney Federer.
And good morning, Judge. Attorney David Yannetti for Karen Reed, who is also present on the Zoom.
Good morning, Attorney Yannetti. Good morning, Ms. Reed.
Good morning, Your Honor. Elizabeth Little, also on behalf of Ms. Reed.
Good morning, Attorney Little. Anyone else here that we need to recognize before we proceed? Doesn't seem so. No, okay. Folks, we are here on two related matters this morning. As an initial matter, we are here because there seems to be some confusion concerning my order of March 20th on docket 615.
What was the order, Judge?
On the Commonwealth's Rule 17 motion. Also, we're here because there has been a motion for protective order, docket 636, filed by intervener Kearney, and so we will hear that as well. So with regard to my order, let me start by saying this. Going back to Attorney Brennan's affidavit filed in this case on March 5th, 2025, in support of the Commonwealth's motion for records, Attorney Brennan specifically stated that, quote, it's been represented to the court by defense counsel Bradel on behalf of Mr. Kearney that there's an implicit long-term mutual assistance and mutual defense agreement between counsel for Mr. Kearney and counsels for this defendant, Reed. On the basis of that sworn statement, I specifically inquired of you, Mr. Brennan, at the hearing on this matter last week, do any of the three categories of documents and data that the Commonwealth seeks by the Rule 17 motion include communications with Mr. Kearney and counsel for the defendant in this case? You replied, no, these would be privileged. So based on these representations and the court's belief that there were no privileged materials implicated by the Commonwealth's motion, I ordered that all communications between Mr. Kearney and Ms. Reed during the time frame in question with regard to these three articulated categories be produced.
Interesting.
However,
they're trying to get some communication.
The special prosecutor in Mr. Kearney's case, in possession of the documents in question on March 26, informed the court that, one, there are in fact a substantial number of communications within the documents and data requested that are indeed communications between Mr. Kearney and Ms. Reed's counsel. And moreover, the special assistant district attorney in that case took the position, contrary to the one asserted by Attorney Brennan in this case, claiming that those communications are not, in fact, privileged. So my order did not specifically exclude from production communications between Mr. Kearney and Ms. Reed's counsel because the court was told there were no such communications, and in any event, the Commonwealth acknowledged that they were privileged. So my first question is to you, Attorney Brennan. Respectfully, did I misunderstand you, or perhaps vice versa? In other words, I understood that you weren't requesting the production of any privileged communications, to wit, communications between Mr. Kearney and Ms. Reed's counsel. And as such, if that is the case, and we did understand each other, I can simply clarify my order for Special ADA Cosgrove that those claimed to be privileged communications will be excluded from the Rule 17 production, and we can move on. If that's not the case, I'd like to hear why.
Sure. May I?
Yes, you may.
I think there are two separate issues regarding privilege. One is whether Mr. Kearney's attorneys, Mr. Betterow and Mr. Rado, have privileged communications, and separately, Ms. Reed's attorneys' communications with Mr. Kearney.
I love it, Kelbell.
I believe we were referring to Mr. Kearney's attorney. And so what I understood from the motion filings is that there were no privileged communications between Mr. Kearney and his attorney in those phones. And so there would be nothing privileged to protect.
Okay, I specifically asked, does this include communications between Mr. Kearney and counsel for the defendant, Reed?
I don't doubt that you asked that if that is what happened, but that wasn't my answer to the question because perhaps I was focused more on Mr. Kearney.
So you confirmed today that we misunderstood each other?
Or I misunderstood. I'll take responsibility for it. But I was trying to be protective of the attorney-client privilege between Mr. Kearney and his attorneys, Mr. Brado and Mr. Betterow.
Oh, how nice.
Well, we all agree, counsel, that those in fact would be privileged communications without question.
Of course.
So let's turn to, if you would, the
So he still
second
wants it,
issue,
huh?
which is one that you raised in your affidavit. You specifically raised that question in your affidavit, docket 547.
Undoubtedly. I do not believe there is any
Indubitably.
attorney-client privilege between Ms. Reed's lawyers and Mr. Kearney because those communications are not covered by attorney-client privilege because none of Ms. Reed's lawyers are attorneys for Mr. Kearney. I pointed out that in an earlier hearing, and I have the transcript of it, it was December 17, 2024, when there was litigation in Mr. Kearney's case, docket 0313, that there was a position taken by Attorney Brado. And he began by telling Judge Krupp, well, there's a joint defense issue, Your Honor. And Judge Krupp asked, so it would predate any jeopardy to Mr. Kearney. And then Mr. Brado responded, well, it's a little more complicated because we know he was under investigation along with Ms. Reed without any resultant charges, so we would contend that does not fall under the umbrella. After more questions by the court, Mr. Brado answered, we don't have an agreement, but there's been an ongoing long-term implicit mutual assistance and mutual defense that I myself have been part of for a long time, and Attorney Betterow has as well. And Judge Krupp said, I really have no idea what that is. And so inevitably, there was no establishment of an attorney-client relationship between the two. Inevitably, and after that, Attorney Betterow attempted to file an appearance on behalf of Ms. Reed. And in that, there was a supplemental motion, and it's docket 549 on 0117.
And docket 549 contains Attorney Yannetti's sworn statement that there was no joint defense privilege between Ms. Reed and Mr. Kearney.
Exactly. And so I think I had the assumption there was no attorney-client privilege. If I misspoke, it confused the court. My apologies. But inevitably, there is no attorney-client privilege that I understand exists. And so I do not know what is in these phones. I have not asked. I don't want to know unless it's pursuant to a court order. But based on the affidavit of the search warrant and based on the pleadings in this case, and there's two very important pleadings, I may have mentioned them to the court on the last date, but those pleadings, which were filed publicly by the Commonwealth, and it's docket number 53 relative to Mr. Kearney's case 0043, in that pleading, it is set out by the Commonwealth's pleading that there is, in fact, information demonstrating that the Reed team provided Mr. Kearney with information, documents, videos. It suggested that at times they would suggest angles for him to use it or to refrain from using it. And it provides a number of examples, including an example on 8823, when they're asking for information, Mr. Kearney, so one of the attorneys.
Attorney Brennan, I'm going to ask you to pause right there, because I think we've reached a point where I have a threshold issue that may require either a Bishop Franklin protocol or some inquiry into the nature of the privilege that may or may not be asserted by Attorney Bradel. And so I think it's
Judge is speaking Chinese right now, but we'll figure it out.
That I turn to you, not with regard to the protective order, but with regard to the issue of whether your client claims a joint defense agreement and related privilege to communications between himself and attorneys for Ms. Reed, such that I need to limit the scope of my order of March 20th.
Judge, thank you. We do not assert such a privilege. I said in a much different context a long time ago that we had been sharing information and talking to each other and helping each other. And I said that there was an issue. I didn't say there was a privilege.
Okay.
So we are not asserting that. There is no formal agreement. There's no formal privilege. I said it was an issue to be looked at the time. That's all I said, Your Honor. And in terms of this, Your Honor's order, I don't even know why we're talking about this, Your Honor. The ostensible purpose of the Commonwealth's request was to attempt to show consciousness of guilt on the part of Ms. Reed. So why would communications to other parties besides Ms. Reed have any relevance? And in fact, in your order, you just say that the only communications that are on the table here, so to speak, are communications between Mr. Carney and Ms. Reed.
I'll stop you right there, Attorney Bradel, because you raised an excellent point, and that point being is that point from the court's perspective is in an age of group texts and other means of communications with multiple recipients at the same time, we certainly have the likelihood of communications between your client and Ms. Reed that may also include members of her defense team. So it is my belief that that is what might be at issue, but I will probe further of 88 Cosgrove on that point.
I mean, if you ask me, Your Honor, the pleading, that the impounded pleading filed by Mr. Cosgrove is completely immaterial. The whole reason for this is consciousness of guilt. So there are we're privy to these extractions. There's absolutely nothing in them that is covered by Your Honor's order. There's no communications between Mr. Carney and Ms. Reed regarding witness intimidation. There are none. So there should be exactly zero documents or texts or emails that should be responsive here. Absolutely zero. And I don't have the thumb drive that Mr. Cosgrove gave to the court ex parte. So I can only imagine what's in that, and we are anticipating a request that you will look at that, to ask you to look at that in camera and see if that complies with your order. It doesn't. It cannot comply with the order.
Y'all like this judge better than the other one?
And Reed.
Y'all don't like Bev?
Third parties that may or may not have spoken to Reed, and these are things that are privileged among that team. So this is a can of worms that the court did not open by any stretch. And I think that, Mr. Cosgrove's role here is completely ministerial, Your Honor. And the fact that he's trying to jump outside of your order is incredibly inappropriate. In particular,
it's disrespectful, to be honest.
These two prosecutors are in different positions due to a conflict of interest, an expressed conflict of interest that has been identified and supposedly acted on by District Attorney Michael Morrissey. So their communications need to be limited because there is a conflict. Your Honor limited those communications very appropriately to potential evidence that those two defendants could have communicated in terms of some criminal acts. And we're telling you there's nothing there. We don't expect you to rely on our interpretation, but there is nothing there relative to your order.
Thank you. Attorney Brady, I'm going to ask you to pause for a moment, and I'm going to hear from Special Assistant District Attorney Cosgrove, specifically with regard to this issue. In your communication to the court, you suggested that in your judgment, the production would sweep in a substantial
interesting.
number of communications between Mr. Kearney and Ms. Reed's attorneys. How would those be swept in when the order specifically calls for communications between Mr. Kearney and Ms. Reed?
I think the actions of Ms. Reed's attorneys on her behalf are the actions of Ms. Reed. And if one reads the sweep of the communications between Mr.
Not
Yannetti
necessarily.
and Mr. Kearney, and between Mr. Jackson and Mr. Kearney, and Ms. Reed and Mr. Kearney, one sees a pattern of feeding information to Mr. Kearney. I think that they
So what's their issue
together
here?
in that respect, Your Honor.
They just want to get access to this information?
Attorney Cosgrove, notwithstanding
Why?
that position, the court's position is that the order spoke very specifically and very clearly to limit the Rule 17 motion to the production of only communications between Defendant Reed and Kearney and Defendant Kearney concerning those three areas of inquiry.
He said it's none of your business.
I am specifically requesting and ordering the Commonwealth in that case to review the documents called as a result of the Rule 17 motion in my subsequent order, such that the
Yeah, I can't wait to see
would
Bev.
only
Y'all can't stand
include
that lady.
communications between Kearney and Reed.
Well, I will, of course, comply with Your Honor's order.
Thank you. Folks, I think we've covered that point, and I don't think
He
I need
said
to go any
next.
further on this. The order is clear on its face, and I expect the parties to
Okay,
comply with it.
Judge.
I'd like to turn now to the issue of the motion for protective order from Mr. Brado. So I'll hear you on this, appreciating that I have had the opportunity to review the attachments and certainly the basis for this, but I'm not. I'll preview where I end up, Attorney Brado.
Oh, y'all are ready for this
clear
can't read trial.
on the scope of your request as contained in your draft order. As an initial matter, I'm only issuing an order in the Reed case. This is not a hearing on the Kearney case. I appreciate that you have a congruent request to the court.
So
in
what's
the
Aiden's
Kearney
case about?
And that it may make sense that whatever the court does in that case should follow what the court does in this case. That would seem to make sense. But I'm only hearing the motion as it regards to this case. Your request, I'll note, asks that the court order all prosecutors and police in the above captioned case to maintain the confidentiality of the cell phone data and any other investigative information and or discovery in each case. So
Alleged witness
I'm not
intimidation?
prepared to discuss the entirety of
okay.
investigative information and all discovery in this case. I am tasked with only addressing Mr. Kearney's specific cell phone data that is the subject of my order of March 20th. But you've specifically requested that the court order that police and prosecutors are ordered to refrain from sharing such information with particular parties identified in Mr. Kearney's affidavit and any other parties
Interesting.
not part of the retained prosecution teams of Ms. Reed or Mr. Kearney. Aren't they already under a duty not to share such information with anyone outside the bounds of what you request?
Yeah.
They are, Your Honor. Judge Cannone specifically found a substantial risk existed that any further communications about the evidence or the witnesses would jeopardize a fair trial. And she made that specific finding, and she imposed, I believe it's a 4-part gag order on the Reed attorneys. Nonetheless,
so no interviews.
as shown in my exhibits, Judge, that these outside people are receiving information that in no way would a prosecution team ever share outside of anything ethically share anyway, any such information. And there's 3 examples of people who are, out there saying we've gotten this, we've gotten that. And we strongly believe that they are doing so. Just to avoid the slight awkwardness, Judge, of me arguing something that benefits Ms. Reed, I would invite, just for the record, the Reed counsel to join me in this motion, Judge, because of the leaks that are going on, just as a threshold matter, if I may do so, Your Honor.
Are you merely asking me to add a belt to Judge Cannone's suspenders?
I think so, Judge, because we need one, and we need one as to this.
He said they're out here tripping.
These three people have repeatedly stated that that they're privy to inside information, and with respect to Mr. Carney's information, but although we strongly contend there's nothing in there that is responsive to Your Honor's order, nothing. To the extent that there's anything that's shared between these two different prosecutors that are on separate islands due to a stated conflict of interest, we want to specifically ensure that as to the discovery that Your Honor's focused on here, that these orders are in place, that there's a specific order. It's sort of another step from Judge Cannoni. She said that, well, the general rules of ethics aren't working here, so I'm making a specific finding. I'm giving you a gag order. Well, guess what? Judge Cannoni's order didn't work either based on my exhibits A, B, C, and so we're asking for another step to just really put a fine point on it, that these three people must stay away, and a general order as well as part two is my part two. And to the extent that those people have any sort of further expressions of leaks in the media or on the internet, I think that ought to be grounds for a live hearing with sworn testimony about these leaks.
Understood. Okay.
So that's why I'm asking, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Brado. Attorney Yannetti, do you have anything to add on this point?
We don't. I mean, I think that we generally take no position here. It is concerning to me that Special Assistant District Attorney Cosgrove revealed in a publicly filed motion communications with, or I should say between Mr. Kearney and counsel for the Reed team when the court. Specific. My understanding is that he omitted some statements of caution and admonitions that we may have given to Mr. Kearney about the nature of demonstrations, etc. So
you got the special prosecutor leaking
statements in an effort to make us look bad.
Leaking stuff?
It was outside the court's order. It was unnecessary.
Attorney Yannetti, are you speaking to something that Attorney Cosgrove has purportedly done in this proceeding in the 117 matter?
No, I believe it's a motion that he filed in his prosecution. Again, detailed, that material.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, folks, I will take that matter, the motion for protective order, under advisement, and will endeavor to respond to you as soon as practicable on my decision on that. In the interim, Special ADA Cosgrove, I'd ask you, how soon do you believe the Commonwealth can reproduce the records in question per my order that are called for?
Get Paige in there.
17 motion.
Shout out to Judge Whitaker.
Probably extract from the thumb drive the conversations with Mr. Yannetti and Mr. Jackson. I may be able to get it done today. I think Monday would probably be a realistic filing date.
Thank you. We'll expect something by close of business Monday, and if you encounter any difficulty or challenges in doing that, just please let the court know, and we'll make whatever accommodations we need to make. Okay, folks.
Your Honor, is that thumb drive going to get returned to the Commonwealth?
Yes, it will.
All right, thank you.
And it has not been viewed, it has not been released, and it is being held under seal and impounded at the moment, and it will be returned to the Commonwealth promptly.
Thank you very much, Your Honor.
Attorney Brennan.
Your Honor, just for clarity of the record, I'll be brief. There has been no conversations between Special Prosecutor Cosgrove and I about contents of any of these items. In fact, even though I do not think I had to, that's why I filed a Rule 17, so there is a clear public record that we're beyond reproach. Secondly, the pleadings I referred to were pleadings that were filed in Mr. Kearney's case publicly before this issue even came up. So it is not divulging information to disseminate to the public. And finally, just so it's crystal clear, I filed a motion for a gag order in Ms. Reed's case because there was significant evidence of distributing protected materials, and that order was allowed at my request. There is no witness or person, as far as I know, in the Reed case that has disseminated any information improperly. I would not allow it or tolerate it if it happened. So I want that to be crystal clear based on the representations we just heard.
Understood.
Yeah, because that's what it sounded like.
Thank you, Attorney Cosgrove. Thank you, counsel. No, we are adjourning the hearing now. Thank you, counsel.
All right, so there it is. Interesting stuff. This prosecutor looks like he's not gonna take no for an answer pretty easily. He was up there challenging the judge, say, hey, I don't agree with this decision. I don't think it's the right decision. Special prosecutor next to him said, I agree. I don't see what the issue is here. The judge said, y'all need to get it figured out and you got Monday. So let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. It's going to be some interesting things moving forward. I know y'all are saying in the chat that you like this judge better. You're stuck with Bev. I think it'll be interesting to see. Either way, trial is starting soon, so y'all make sure you stay locked in, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we cover this Karen Reed trial and what's going on here. Shout out to the gang, man. Y'all said he's a clown and is about to be buried by Jackson. Smooth as butter. And Yannetti. Yeah. Karen Reed and her team walked into the hearing in their Kendrick voice. Oh, I see you. Karen Reed case would not be going forward if this judge was in charge. We thought Georgia and Fulton County was so corrupt. I'm telling you, you ain't seen nothing yet. And even Kel Bell, the Honorable Attorney Kel Bell, said, this is going to be a good one. So I'm looking forward to it. I think I got everybody in here. Did I miss? I think I might have missed the super chat. I apologize, man. Shout out to She's So Jazzy up in here with the 2-bomb. Says it has been deemed an in custody death, though. Talking about young Scooter. Yep. We're going to see some more information on that. I don't think the people are going to let this one go. And we just want to know the truth. So hopefully there is maybe some body cam footage there. Maybe we'll see some video. Sad to see the man go that way. So tough. On his birthday too. Rhonda Hall is I love seeing all the attorneys reacting to this trial. Yeah, me too. I got to check out some more of them because I know there's a lot of attorneys out here that have been covering this for a while. So I got to make my rounds and see what they're saying about this. Try not to get too biased though, because I didn't cover the first trial. So I really want to go into this one with this fresh set of eyes and ears, but we'll see. The whole system in Massachusetts where they don't have grounds for the objection is back butt. Well, I can't say the word, but back butt words to me. So you can just object? What? Oh, this is going to be a mess. Are you serious? Yeah, I know you said there are a few attorneys covering this that are great. Emily Baker. Oh my goodness. I saw some of the content she's been doing on this, and just as a content creator in general, she is masterful at live streaming, making videos, making things make sense and fun. So yeah, y'all go check her out if you haven't yet. She's done a great job covering a lot of stuff that I've seen. So shout out to her. Oh yep, you just said it. Check out Emily D. Baker. Yep, she breaks it down good. She's really, really good. I wonder if TLA is going to get in on this. I'm sure he will. He'll probably test the waters and see. Jay-Z's in here says the judge drinks White Claw while making case decisions. So no speaking objections. So you can just object and that's it. Oh, this is going to be a mess. That's why I don't have gray hair. This trial has aged me. Check out The Lawyer You Know. Yep, I checked out The Lawyer You Know too before as well. Yeah, there's a lot of great attorneys out here. Shout out to all the attorney content creators. All right, y'all, we're going to be dropping some clips later on this afternoon. If y'all haven't yet subscribed, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live or drop a new video. Thank you to everybody who supported. And over 100% of y'all liked the video. Thank you. Thank you, guys. It really means a lot. Again, it's free. It takes 2 seconds and it does help us to continue to grow. I hope y'all have a great rest of your afternoon. Get some Allegra. And as always, y'all know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. We gone. Peace, y'all.